The Missouri River has always been a lifeline. It carved its way through the Great Plains long before highways, railroads, and state lines even existed. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples depended on its waters for survival. But rivers are strange places. They give life, and sometimes, according to legend, they take it away. Tonight on Midwest Shadow Files, we're traveling to North Dakota and exploring one of the strangest and most terrifying cryptids in Native American folklore. A creature covered in red buffalo-like fur, a monster with one eye, one horn, and a jagged spine like a giant saw blade. A monster said to rise from the Missouri River each spring, roaring against a current while shattering river ice. A creature so horrifying that anyone who looked upon it during daylight would supposedly lose their mind and die. This is the story of the Miniwashitu, the water monster of the Missouri River. Hello and welcome to Midwest Shadow Files. I'm Dan, your host and Midwest Shadow Files storyteller. I just want to take a moment and thank those who have stuck with the podcast. Back when I did a couple episodes with Iowa Shadow Files and took a short break, well, a long break actually, for some reasons that are pretty explainable, I ran into some stuff that pretty much freaked me out and had to step away for about a year. And during that time, had some discussions and personal stories brought to my attention from both friends and past listeners, and gave me just enough pause to rethink the podcast, relaunch and rebrand to expand into the Midwest. Now, we may go beyond the Midwest sometimes, and we'll just go where the wormholes take us, bringing you the stories as best as I can. But there's just too little time, too many stories, that we are expanding the podcast to twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. We'll be dropping new stories across the region. Today, we dive into a cryptid story all the way up in North Dakota, a story that is deeply embedded into the lore of the state and the lore surrounding the wild, unpredictable, and oftentimes unforgiving Missouri River. So today, we dive into the story of the Miniwashitu, or as some call it, the water monster of the Missouri River. The story of the Miniwashitu comes primarily from the traditions of the Mandan people and neighboring tribes who lived along the Missouri River in what is now North Dakota. Long before Europeans arrived, the Missouri was both a blessing and a danger. The river provided food, transportation, and fertile land. But it could also flood. Ice jams could destroy villages, spring breakups could be violent and unpredictable, and in many cultures, dangerous natural forces become personified. Storms become spirits, mountains become giants, and rivers become monsters. The Miniwashitu appears to be one such creature. One of the earliest written accounts comes from the ethnologist Melvin Randolph Gilmore, who documented indigenous traditions in the early 20th century. According to the story he recorded, there was a mysterious being that lived within the Missouri River. It was rarely seen, but when it appeared, it inspired absolute terror. Witnesses described seeing a fiery redness in the water. Some claimed it moved upstream against the current. Others reported hearing a tremendous roaring sound echoing across the riverbanks. And then there was the creature itself. The description sounds like something from a nightmare. Imagine this. Imagine a massive beast covered in red hair like a buffalo. One enormous eye centered in its forehead, a single horn above the eye, and then a spine protruding from its back like the teeth of an enormous saw. Not exactly your average lake monster. Not exactly Bigfoot, but something different entirely. Listen to the account from Randolph, written in 1921. It is said that in the long ago there was a mysterious being within the stream of the Missouri River. It was seldom seen by human beings, and it was most dreadful to see. It is said that sometimes it was seen within the water in the middle of the stream, causing a redness shining like the redness of fire as it passed up the stream against the current with a terrific roaring sound. And they say that if this dreadful being was seen by anyone in the daytime, anyone who thus saw it soon after became crazy and continued restless, in pain, until he was relieved by death. And it is said that one time, not a very great many years ago, this frightful being was seen by a man, and he told how it appeared. He said that it was a strange form, and it covered all over with hair like a buffalo, but red in color. That it had only one eye in the middle of its forehead, and above that a single horn. Its backbone stood and notched and jagged like an enormous saw. As soon as the man beheld the awful sight, everything became dark to him. He was just able to reach home, but he lost his reason, and soon after that, he died. It is said this mysterious Miniwashitu water monster still lives in the Missouri River, and that in springtime, as it moves upstream against the current, it breaks up the ice of the river. This water monster was held in awe and dread by the people. It's not hard to imagine the dread people felt considering the horror of the legend, a red, hairy serpent of the Missouri River, with one eye, a horn, and a sharp spine along its back. Its appearance was accompanied by a terrifying roar and it imparted blindness and insanity on anyone who saw it. Death followed soon after. Come spring, perhaps it's best to avert your eyes from the Missouri River and avoid the terrible Miniwashitu. More on the Miniwashitu right after this. Hey there, Dan with Midwest Small Town. We have a lot more stories coming your way. As we dig deeper into these shadow files, we came across a story of a haunted road in Missouri. Or we should say a 2.5-mile trail, officially named the Rock Hollow Trail, but earning the urban legend name of the Zombie Road because of the zombie-like figures and shadow people that walk along its path. Come with us next episode as we explore the story of one of America's most haunted roads. This is coming at you on Wednesday, the Zombie Road. Listen along wherever you get your podcasts. What truly separates the Miniwashitu from the cryptids isn't just its appearance. It's what happens if you see it. According to the legend, witnessing the creature in daylight was essentially a death sentence. The stories claim that anyone who looked directly at the Miniwashitu during the day would soon lose their sanity. They, of course, would become restless, confused, racked with pain, eventually dying from the encounter. One famous account tells of the man who supposedly saw the creature while near the Missouri River. He described a monstrous red-haired being with one eye and one horn, like we mentioned earlier, and soon afterward, according to the story, he lost his reason and he died. Now, obviously, from a modern perspective, we can view this through many lenses. Was this a warning tale, a spiritual lesson, a way to explain mysterious illness, or perhaps a made-up story to keep people away from the dangerous river conditions? Have you ever been near the Missouri? I'm not talking near fishing dammed-up portions near Yankton, but further up or downstream. And I'll tell you right now, this is a wild river. It averages about 2 to 4 drownings or death each year, which naturally fluctuates, of course, but this is along its entire 2,341-mile stretch, and it consistently is said to be one of the most dangerous waterways in the region. And this is widely because of its deceptive currents, shifting sandbars, hidden drop-offs, and holes. You also need to be careful of trees, logs, branches that might be underneath the surface, snagging and dragging you to the bottom. But whatever the answer, the result is one of the most chilling cryptid legends in North America, because unlike Bigfoot, who might simply run away, the Miniwashitu doesn't attack. You basically destroy yourself simply by seeing it. One of the most fascinating things about this legend involves springtime. Every year, North Dakota experiences brutal winters. The Missouri River can freeze beneath thick layers of ice, and historically, ice jams could cause serious problems for communities along the river. The man Dan had an explanation for all this: the Miniwashitu. According to the stories, the creature traveled upstream in the spring, and as it moved, its jagged back shattered the river ice. The roaring sound heard across the water signaled the arrival of warmer weather. In a strange way, the monster wasn't entirely evil. Yes, it was terrifying, but it was also responsible for ending winter. The same creature that brought madness also brought spring. And that is an interesting detail. Many monsters represent pure destruction. The Miniwashitu represents transformation. Winter giving way to spring, death giving way to life, and fear giving way to survival. And in that sense, the creature may have served as a symbolic explanation for the incredible power of the seasonal changes on the northern plains. Unlike Bigfoot or Nessie, modern reports of the Miniwashitu are extremely rare. Most alleged sightings come from folklore rather than contemporary eyewitness accounts. Still, stories occasionally emerge. Some describe strange red lights moving along the Missouri River at night. Others mention unexplained roaring sounds near the water, and a few local tales speak of unusual shapes beneath the river's surface. One story involves a trapper from the 1830s named Henry Bellevue. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. But Henry Bellevue lived near Bismarck, was out setting traps on winter night with a couple of other trappers from the area, and according to legend, he saw a red light beneath the frozen surface of the Missouri River, and he didn't think anything of it, and thought he merely saw a reflection bouncing off the ice. Then he noticed something very strange. That same red light began to move. And what made it even more strange is that it was moving upstream, under the ice. The very next morning, the trappers woke up to find that the ice on the river had opened up, and all their traps were missing. And to their horror, one of the sled dogs was found dead, burned to death. There was no explanation, no clues, just the remains of their dog. But that was only the beginning, because the next few days, the other two trappers grew ill and died from a fever. And Henry himself arrived at Fort Union barely alive himself, but growing crazy by the week, telling his story of the red light beneath the Missouri ice before he died a few months later. Some say he saw the Miniwashitu, and it got its revenge. And what about today? What are the stories of today? Well, there are a couple. In 1979, two fishermen saw a glowing red light beneath the surface near Washburn. Again, that growing red light. They share the story, but of course nobody believes them. But we see a recurring theme here, a red light beneath the water, beneath the Missouri River ice, something moving upstream. Is it a fisherman's tale, or maybe it is indeed the Miniwashitu? And in 1997, a snowmobiler is riding along the ice-packed river. He happens to see in the middle of the river this giant red-furred back of some kind of creature breaking through the ice. He dismisses it, thinks he's imagining it, until later, when he gets the nerve to investigate the area where he saw the strange occurrence and spots a burned-out round hole through the ice, just large enough for a creature to break through. Could it be the Miniwashitu? Cryptid enthusiasts have proposed a variety of theories on this. Some believe the stories originated from sightings of enormous sturgeons in the area. Others suggested optical illusions caused by sunlight, ice, and river conditions. Some researchers think the story is entirely symbolic. Not a flesh and blood animal at all, but a spiritual representation of the river itself. And then there are those who insist something unknown still inhabits the Missouri. Something ancient. Something hidden. Something waiting just beneath the current. We'll get into some of these theories right after this. Hey there, Dan here. I just want to drop a quick shout out to Brooke. She is one of our listeners. She reached out with a question. Hi, I really like your show. Thanks, Brooke. And she goes on, anyways, I wanted to reach out about any possible ghost stories coming up. I get fascinated. I don't care where really, but just like hearing different ones. Thanks. Well, as luck may have it, Brooke, our very next episode is a haunted trail down in Missouri. And of course, we'll dive into that here in another day or so, but I also wanted to point to another episode coming out here in a few weeks where we're going to tackle some ghost stories at one of our local Midwest prisons. I will say that I'm amazed that whatever state prison I choose for this podcast, I probably can't go wrong. They all seem to have some type of paranormal activity linked to them, but for this one in a few weeks, we'll go over to Illinois and we'll do a story on the old Joliet prison. Lots of stories surrounding this one, Brooke, but that'll be coming here in probably another month or so. I just wanted to give you a heads up. But like I said earlier, don't miss out on the episode on Wednesday on the Zombie Road. And if you think about it, can you really go wrong with a name like Zombie Road? Thanks for writing in. Don't be scared to reach out. If you have something you want to share or have an episode you'd like us to explore, you can drop us an email and reach us at midwestshadowfiles@gmail.com. That's midwestshadowfiles@gmail.com. But for now, let's get back to the story. So, each time we dig into the weird and mysterious world of the oddities surrounding the paranormal, we end up getting more questions than answers half the time. And exploring the Miniwashitu, it leaves plenty. So what could the Miniwashitu actually be? Theory number 1, a mythological symbolism. Now, many scholars believe the creature represents the dangers of the Missouri River. The madness associated with seeing it could symbolize death by drowning, exposure, illness, and this makes a lot of sense. I talked a little bit about the treacherous Missouri River, so this theory could fit. But let's go to theory number 2, a memory of real animals. Some ancient stories preserved distorted memories of actual creatures. Large sturgeon, bison, and other wildlife may have contributed to that legend. But then you have theory number 3, a spiritual guardian. For many indigenous cultures, powerful beings are not simply monsters. They are forces of nature. The Miniwashitu may have been viewed as a supernatural river spirit, a being deserving respect rather than this fear or conquest. Just respect it because it's there for a reason. And then you have theory number 4, which dives even further into the entire monster theory, an undiscovered cryptid. Of course, this is the explanation cryptozoologists enjoy the most. Could you somehow have an unknown species that have inhabited the Missouri River system? Now, there is no evidence for this. I always find it fascinating in a world of more and more video evidence possibilities with cell phones, trail cameras, that we cannot come up with videos or pictures. And if we do, they are usually half blurry or just something that doesn't even look close to something that might be considered a true monster. But cryptids thrive in the space between possibility and mystery. And mystery is exactly what the Miniwashitu provides. What makes this monster fascinating isn't whether it exists, it's why people continue telling the story in the first place. The Missouri River is enormous. Even today, standing beside it at night can feel a little unsettling. It's huge, it's fast, it's pretty dang overwhelming. The current is powerful. The darkness seems endless. The water hides whatever lies beneath, and the Miniwashitu gives a face to that feeling. It transforms an unpredictable force of nature into something we can imagine, something we can fear, something we can tell stories about around campfires and kitchen tables. And perhaps that's exactly why the legend survives. Not because anyone has captured a photo, not because anyone has found bones, but because every generation encounters the same river. And every generation wonders what might be hidden beneath the surface. So, what do you think? Was the Miniwashitu a warning wrapped in mythology, or was it a spiritual guardian of the Missouri River? Or is there truly something lurking beneath North Dakota's waters? Tell me what you think. Love to get your comments on this. Of course, you can email me. You can drop a comment on this. I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on this. If you grew up along the Missouri and have heard stories about the Miniwashitu, we'd love to hear from you. Send your experiences, local legends, stories to Midwest Shadow Files. Until next time, keep your eyes on the shadows, and if you're standing beside the Missouri River and you hear a terrible roar echoing across the ice, you might just want to look away. This episode was written, recorded, and produced by me, myself, and I. I'm Dan, your host and Midwest Shadow Files storyteller. This is Midwest Shadow Files.